It is perhaps the internet's most persistent, unresolved culinary dispute. The question is simple: is a hot dog a sandwich? Most people assume this is a straightforward yes or no question. You either check the box or you don't. For the optimist, the answer is a joyful yes. If you have protein cradled in bread, you have a sandwich. It's a broad, inclusive definition that celebrates the combination of a baked carb and a filling. But the skeptic looks at that exact same object and sees a structural flaw. A true sandwich requires two distinct, separated pieces of bread. A standard hot dog bun is hinged. This forces us to choose what matters more. Does the soul of the food, its basic ingredients, dictate what it is? Or is its identity defined entirely by its physical architecture? Trying to answer that single question quickly reveals how human beings operate. It exposes the tension of us desperately trying to apply neat, organized rules to a chaotic universe. Once you move past the physical bread itself, the argument bleeds into the mechanics of human language. The skeptic rightly cautions that if the spirit of the ingredients is enough to classify something as a sandwich, the walls of that category begin to bow outward. Follow that logic, and suddenly a taco is a sandwich. Wrap that same filling entirely in a tortilla, and a burrito qualifies too. You end up with a semantic umbrella so massive that it covers almost any handheld meal. Precision in language exists for a reason. An umbrella category broad enough to cover everything is functionally a category that means nothing. To see exactly how far this logic stretches, the philosopher elevates the debate straight into existential territory. Look at this visual of a standard two-slice sandwich. It becomes a culinary version of the ship of Theseus. If you start altering the physical form of the bread, piece by piece, you enter a gray area. At what precise moment does bending and hinging that dough transform the food into something entirely new? While philosophers can live comfortably in that ambiguity, the pragmatist steps in to yank the debate back to reality. Under strict U.S. Department of Agriculture regulatory law, a sandwich formally requires two distinct, separated bread surfaces. Because of that hinge, the hot dog structurally fails the test. Thought experiments are fascinating, but commerce and governance can't operate on philosophical ideals. They require absolute boundaries to function. So we have an impasse between spirit and structure. But there is an elegant escape hatch. Perhaps the hot dog transcends these labels altogether. It sits as its own platonic ideal. Not a sandwich, not a sandwich, but a distinct entity unto itself. This friction reveals how we often prioritize social utility over the rigid definitions found in a dictionary. The correct category depends entirely on who is asking the question and why. Context dictates the definition. If you are standing at a deli counter ordering lunch by weight, or you are a USDA inspector verifying product classifications, precision is mandatory. In that strict context, call it a sandwich. But if you're sitting in the bleachers on a sunny afternoon waiting for a pitch, those rigid rules melt away. The environment dictates a looser interpretation, and it's just a hot dog. The hot dog shares a sandwich's DNA, but it exists as its own unique entity in the cultural landscape. Our language isn't broken because it allows for this overlap. It's simply flexible enough to handle the complexity of the real world.